Camera? Is camera? Camera up here? Where am I? Where am I? Where am I? Welcome and hello and hello and welcome. Thank you for joining me on an extremely special Hump Day edition of Un Poco Mas, the show where we give you just a little bit more, or at least attempt to. Some days we give you just nothing but a big shit sandwich, and you can take it or leave it, folks. I suggest you turn off the show right now, turn on something else, something that might do you a little bit of good. But anyway, guys, you've found yourself in the enviable position of watching Un Poco Mas, the only show on the internet where a big idiot talks about stocks. Now, in fact, there are thousands of such shows. There are some quality guys online on YouTube. The great Stock Mo comes to mind, many others. But so many of them quit, dye their hair, run off to parts unknown, and then all of a sudden they come back better than ever with a new course, some other something else to sell you. So many snake oil salesmen on YouTube. It's just absolutely ridiculous. But anyway, guys, I want to talk to you about SMCI. I know I've been kind of harping on this stock, but this one is starting to grow a pretty large position of my portfolio. I keep doing more and more research into it. I'm looking at NVIDIA. I'm looking at the products AMD is putting out. And all of these products, what they're trying to do is make things more dense, and they require more sophisticated cooling. And the more I read, the more I realize Supermicro has been working on liquid cooling systems, cooling technology, the software required, all that stuff, longer and far more in depth than anyone else. And people who say, hey, Dell and some of these other players in the space are ahead of SMCI, it's just lying. It's just completely false. I think anyone, even like me, who's a novice, I'm certainly no expert in the field, but you can just read and do research, and people who do know will tell you SMCI is the industry leader in liquid cooling, and that's what this new generation of AI chips from NVIDIA and to a lesser extent from AMD are going to require. So the facts are very stubborn. The facts are SMCI is growing the top line. They're growing the bottom line. The demand for what they do is exploding. They have the highest technical expertise in this area. I mean, you just see every single day this news of new massive investments in AI data centers. Doesn't matter if it's Tesla, Meta, Microsoft, any of them. And then you hear from NVIDIA, and they're talking about, the opportunities not only in data centers, but also with cars, just all kinds of other things that we haven't even thought about with AI. But think about when every car is recording everything the same way Tesla does. Even higher resolutions, even more cameras, LiDAR. Think about the demands. Think about the data centers that are going to be required. Will all the car companies have to build them? Will governments have to build them? Think about the surveillance state. Think about how that's advancing constantly. Guys, if you look at reality, demand is exploding for SMCI. Now, one analyst finally came out and told, the truth about this company. And this is an analyst, I didn't really know this guy, but who is he with? Sorry, guys. So according to media report, and they talk about Link's equity investments, they maintained a $60 price target on SMCI, noting that NVIDIA keynote would serve as a positive catalyst. Obviously, that didn't happen today. The company is positioned to benefit from AMD's MI325X and Google's TPU6, both of which require liquid cooling. However, there are concerns about their ability to meet regulatory deadlines and all that stuff. But if you actually read his note, it basically talks about the fact that SMCI is the world and industry leader in liquid cooling, and nobody else can touch them. And the demand for these data centers that require liquid cooling with these new chips is going to be just astronomical. And that's reflected in the growth estimates. I mean, they just went from 7 billion to 14 billion. Now they're forecasting 25 billion. And people are saying they're not growing. Just doesn't make a lot of sense. Take a look at this article. Supermicro could have bottomed. James Ford, he's this economist guy. He's pretty good. Read a lot of his articles over time. Not sure how long he's been on C, but I certainly remember reading him. I'm not like tallying these things or anything. He's faced substantial challenges in 2024. Risk reward setup 125 looks favorable. This basically lays it all out there. Catalysts include restated financials, new CFO, renewed AI market enthusiasm, an ideal technical setup suggesting a target price above $100. The worst seems to be over for SMCI, with negative sentiment peaking and positive developments likely to drive the stock higher. James Ford, economist, pragmatic investor, blah, blah, blah. Volatile 2024. I think it's completely fake volatility, just to make a note. This was a pump and dump. I mean, this was completely controlled here from May 2023 to January 2024. So it's like 7 months of just absolute locked on algo control in the specific wave period and trading range. Huge pump, everything. This is just basically a giant pump and dump. Look at the algo trading this thing down at like a nice 45-degree angle. Look at this coming right back to meet this line that this was trading on all the way into 2024. Just took a break for a year. And it's not volatility either. If you look at other parts of the chart, the stock is being, stepped up and down quite neatly. In fact, on the daily, I mean, this is volatility. It just either goes up or down right at the beginning of the day, and then the algo tries its best to hold it there all day. And, that's reflected in the short interest. I mean, you see yesterday it's low. Today, much higher, 50. We haven't seen, short volume ratio that high in like 3 weeks at least. Way down here, it gets back into the 50s. So market makers wanted the stock to go down today, I think, because everybody knew what Jensen said, the demand for NVIDIA, how he kind of trashed, these quantum guys. It's meat and potatoes, basically. SMCI is meat and potatoes in the AI boom. And they really don't have that much competition in terms of this advanced liquid cooling, from what I understand. I mean, some of you guys who understand it a lot more better than me might disagree. Richard Vaughn Gittin Jr., does your dad know that you were moonlighting on SoFi? Richard, I'm not stepping out on SoFi. I still have all my shares. I still go home to SoFi. And, of course, the beautiful, wonderful Princess J at the end of the workday. But here to swing my wrench like a 70s porn. Be careful, Alberto. This is a PG rated show. LOL. Let's begin. Thanks, Alberto. Appreciate you coming. We definitely needed a wrench in here. These guys were getting loose. Birdie John Holmes. Let's not get all crazy here, guys. Listening to you on SoFi. I made you a lot of money. Yeah. Urbans, I certainly can't predict the future. All I can do is kind of use logic and look at the facts, look at multiples. I mean, I'm seeing people like, oh, why would you want to buy something at the lows? The stock's a loser. That's exactly why I want to buy it, because it's a great company and it's low for no good reason other than market makers and their paid minions in the media and the blogosphere and the U-turders. They construct a narrative that's false. That's exactly what they did with SoFi. And I said, this stock $4 or $5, this is insane. And what do you know? It went up like 4x from there. And if you just bought low and ignored all the nonsense and sold high, you'd have made a ton of money. Now, I would continue to hold because I personally believe the stock's going to go way, way up from here. Just a little bit of retracement, but it's not doing a new dive. I mean, what are you going to chase a stock like Palantir just because it's going up and the market loved it? It's trading almost $200 billion. I mean, the sales are only like $3 billion. You're like, you mean the profits? It's trading at 60x profits? No, friends. No, kids. It's trading at 60x sales. And these boneheads on YouTube keep telling you it's undervalued. I mean, you cannot grow into that valuation with any reasonably expected growth rates that make any sense. And that's the sector bias. Everyone just went crazy like, Okay, there's an AI boom. Nvidia is huge in that, no question, and they should have exploded. Their stock price should have exploded. But a company like SMCI that is just along for the ride and is going to ride that wave to really incredible growth and profits, they're treated as if sorry guys, you looking at my giant hat this whole time. I meant to oh, actually, let me put that right back because I got to pull up Ortex. Sorry, I should have brushed my teeth or something, at least done some mouthwash. Sorry, guys. Let me pull up Vortex. Sorry that I do absolutely no preparation for the show. But I just wanted to show you guys the live short interest because it really, validates what I'm telling you about the, fake volatility. It's completely fake volatility. I mean, look at, let me bring this up. Look at today versus yesterday. So yesterday, it's almost the exact same thing until boom, hey, made a big run yesterday right here. Borrowing goes way down by a couple million here. Borrowing goes up by, over time, a couple million. And then absolutely flat the rest of the day as the algo, doesn't need to borrow any more shares. They're just buying and selling shares themselves. And people are like, well, what do you mean by price fixing? Like, that's illegal. There's no way that actually happens. I mean, look at the daily, guys. Look at some of these candles, and you tell me how this happens in real life. So here's a candle on 27,000 volume. The stock drops 8 cents. And this is pulling down toward the stop loss, which they eventually hit right here. There's a lot of extremely suspect candles that are basically rigging the bid and the ask. That's what I mean by selling shares themselves. 46,000, the stock drops 12 cents. Now, if you look at the bid and the ask in the order book, there's orders at every single penny. It's not like, there's only orders at the 5 cent or 10 cent mark. So they have to basically look for a time when there's not a lot of orders below in terms of the bid. And then they can basically overwhelm the system by rigging the bid and the ask all the way down here. So if you looked at this candle on this specific time frame and you say, who's placing these orders right here, it wouldn't be that hard to figure out who's rigging this thing. And there's candle after, see this stock works its way up at this nice, there's orders coming in. It looks like actual trading. And then all of a sudden, boom, just another hammer. So you see on 27,000 volume, the stock drops, 11 cents. It's just impossible for this to keep happening over and over again unless there's extremely tight coordination. I'm not saying it's necessarily illegal. I'm not a lawyer. That's way above my pay grade, but it's supposed to be illegal. I know that. You see it again here, 58,000. The stock drops 11 cents. This is just not. This happens, but not this many times. I mean, 27,000 drops 11 cents. Tries to trade back up, drops off a cliff. Trades back up. You see another one of these candles here. Volume 50,000, and it's just time after time after time where it just kind of, you have these giant, 15-cent drops on these moderate volume. It just doesn't happen. Like, the math doesn't work. It's just coincidentally, two parties don't decide, hey, I'm going to buy and sell a bunch of shares 15 cents below the current price at this particular weird time. And, oh, by the way, it's just happening to trigger this stop loss. It's like these candles, okay, here they drive it down below 32 on this particular candle, which is 250,000 shares. So that's, pretty aggressive. They're actually dumping. And then this candle, they dropped the price 15 cents on only 68,000. So this is bid rigging here. This fall is bid rigging. There's just absolutely no question in my mind. And if you go back to the order book and you look at each order, and the FBI or the SEC or somebody looked at these orders, they would see the bid rigging. I'm almost positive it would jump out at you. But again, I'm not a lawyer, but you see this, and this isn't just coincidence. Like, they're hitting 31.75. They know where day traders place stop losses. They know where retraders place stop losses. They know where weak paper hand, Shine Box All-Stars, Shoe Shine Boys, Country Club Golf Hustlers, Truck Stop All Stars, they know where we place our stop losses, and they certainly are want to take advantage of our weakness and our ineptitude and our stupidity and all the rest. Oh, but I love the drama. Anyway. Has anybody seen my nurse? Anyway, guys, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you about this one. I completely agree with this author that the technicals are setting up to go run way back over 100, in my opinion. And I think the fundamentals are there too. So as we enter 2025, I think there's a very favorable setup to go long in terms of risk reward. Most of the negative events like restating their financials, NASDAQ delisting have been priced in, while there are still numerous tailwinds that could help the stock double or even triple from today's price. And my last, as I rated it a hold, following a resignation of Ernst & Young. Since then, upgraded to a buy. This also includes a much healthier technical outlook. Based on both fundamental and technical analysis, I believe the stock will trade back above 100 by the end of the year. And I completely agree with his analysis. This guy's a lot more smarter than I am, but he says the words that I would like to say had I been born more smarter. SMCI has been through a lot since the stock hit a high of over $120. You see Ernst & Young resigning here, new auditor here, commerce, and you also, of course, could add in the Hindenburg report in there as well. And what's alleged there is really not that severe. There's export control violations in Russia for a few months. I mean, everybody and their brother was taking advantage of that situation. And, I'm not saying SMCI didn't, but it doesn't sound like anything that's going to be any kind of like black swan event. If anything, they'll probably have to pay some type of modest fine. I mean, it's not like they're selling them like weapons or something. There was a lot of gray area in there until a lot of things were, codified in terms of sanctions and all that stuff. So anyway, more recently, they've actually been delisted. SMCI has actually been delisted from the NASDAQ. That's not true. They got removed from the NASDAQ 100, but they were not delisted from the NASDAQ. And both us were questioned by the U.S. over chips to China. Based on the extension the company was granted by NASDAQ, it seems likely we would see the company's finalized accounts for 2020 by the end of February. Well, we have to see them by the end of February. I think we're going to see them any day now. I think they're all done. That's my opinion. When all is said and done, it seems like the stock could have finally struck a bottom. The biggest incognito right now is a 10K filing. Even revenues and EPS being adjusted, the stock is still very cheap. That's what I'm saying. Even if there are slight revisions to revenues, EPS, some revenues that were in one quarter are put in the next quarter, it's not really going to affect anything fundamentally. It's just going to be like rounding errors, moving things from one column to another, one quarter to another. It doesn't affect the future guidance. It doesn't affect their orders. It doesn't affect their sales. Their customers aren't going anywhere. This stock is currently priced less than this year's sales. And you think, well, of course, because they're losing a ton of money. They're drowning it. No, they make a lot of money already, and that's only going to grow. I mean, just look at the analysis. I mean, I know this is just Yahoo, but earnings estimate, revenue estimate. I mean, next quarter, 63, current year, next year. So, the analysts are saying EPS is going to go up by about $1 year over year. Revenue. Analysts are saying, 25 billion current year, 30 billion next year. I think that's very low. But that's still 20% top line growth in what's supposed to be this disastrous year for a company that just a couple of years ago was selling like 2-3 billion. Bottom line, they're going to have 10x their sales in about 5 years, guys. Let me repeat that. They're going to have 10x their sales in about 5 years. Maybe 6. The only other company I know of growing like that is SoFi. And this is absurd. This valuation is absurd. This assumes that everyone's going to prison. Their whole company is going to have to be restructured, rebuilt, new corporate governance. But it's not. That's nothing we're seeing is implying that. So Ernst & Young quit. Fa la 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 la. Who cares? I mean, it's problematic. I'm not saying it's not problematic, but they just have to get their books in order. All that it requires is telling the truth. I mean, are you going to buy Palantir at 60x sales or 50x sales or something insane? And this company's trading at like 0.7 this year's sales? 0.7 this year's sales. And they're already making $2 a share. I mean, it's absurd. I don't get it. I mean, Barron's it's fake volatility. It's price fixing. It's so obvious. They step it up. I said this a month ago. They want to accumulate between 32 and 34. They're still doing it. And if they thought retail would sell lower, they'd push it lower. They can push the price anywhere they want. It's quite obvious, you know. Hey guys, want to send a very huge shout out to the great Douglas Smith. I believe he was one of the founders of the LDS Church and a personal friend of the great Nautilurker J Money. Drink filtered water. Screen not shared. Thanks. Yeah, I know my giant head can get a little bit disturbing, but I forgot to glance to the left. Thank you very much, J Money Nautilurker. Let's see, guys. We got the great Carl Seamark. Do not subscribe. Not financial advice. The only advice I can give you is if you are in need of a new mattress, I don't care if it's an inner spring. I don't care if it's a memory foam. I don't care if it's an adjustable. I don't care if it's quiet comfort, cool comfort, heated comfort, feather bed, day bed, night bed. If you remember, Charlie Kelly is night man and day man. Got to pay the troll toll if you want to get in the boy's soul. That's soul. But anyway, guys, if you need a new mattress, I definitely encourage you to look up Carl on Instagram. Of course, that's hashtag Mattress King of Chicago. And we got Bread Deb here. Just bought more. Excellent. Easy peasy. Excellent. Do not like and subscribe. It'd be the worst mistake of your life. I hope you didn't leave Tanner's live for this turd Nautilurker. That could have been the biggest mistake. But you know, Tanner is not smart enough to give the greatest moderator in the history of YouTube a wrench. That's his problem. Perhaps all his moderators are Canadian. Perhaps they're circling the wagons because Trump is threatening to make them the 51st state. Oh my God, that guy's an idiot. Not Tanner. Where's AJ Jr.? I have 200 shares, 31 calls, varying strikes. Thank you very much. Put a girl on. Okay. You want to come on? Are you a girl? Are you stupid? Are you smart? Are you pretty? Are you ugly? I don't care. Anybody can come on this show. We even had Nautilurker on. He's got a shaved head. It's pretty symmetrical though. Omar Diaz, they will be able to present Q4 24 earnings. It's scheduled, end of the month, whether or not. That's why I think they're going to put out, last year's numbers before then. I don't think they want more delays. And honestly, nothing's going to change. It doesn't take BDO more than this amount of time to figure out the truth. They can come right to management, right to the former CFO, right to these guys and say, hey, what was the conflict? What was the problem? What was the disagreement? We need honesty. We need it immediately, or we're going to hit you over the head with a fucking hammer. We're BDO. That's how we operate. Beat down orderly. I don't know. No, BDO is an extremely questionable record as an auditor. I mean, that's just the truth. I think they're getting a little bit better of late. All we can see is your giant head. You're welcome, Carl. You're welcome. These people with giant heads, the reason you're selling so many pillows. Where's Birdie the Birdman? He's here. Let us begin. No, my dad has no idea this show exists. He doesn't know how to use the internet. Who needs a timeout? Slam that wrench, Alberto. Just got the first 10-second timeout. Premium the option. Birdman sliding banana tailpipe trick. How you doing, Mr. Licker Richard? We got how long would you hold this stock? Reports are issued. Fundamentals remain good. I mean, ET Val. Here's the thing. I think they're going to increase to the 25, 26 this year, but I think they're going to increase quite a bit more than 30 next. It's just my gut feeling. I think NVIDIA could actually grow faster than they have been. I think we're just at the start of the AI revolution. And again, I've talked to people who kind of know what they're talking about in this industry. just, people I happen to know. I'm not saying they're like leading experts on data centers or anything, but they're technical people who understand cooling, understand thermodynamics, understand what SMCI has been working on, for the last several decades. They've been working on this stuff for decades. Lenovo and Dell and all these guys, they're Johnny-come-latelys. They're flavor of the month. They're just trying to get in on the back end, sneak in the back door, if you will. They've disconnected the fundamentals from objective reality. The reality of the fundamentals and the share price have been completely disconnected by market makers, and they're fixing the price. And they have been fixing the price. None of this is accidental. None of this is accidental, guys. The fact that they walked it up here, and then back down and held it here, and the fact that, it proceeded right along this slope with all the, it started, we accumulated as much as we want right now. We're going to push down. We've got all these idiots in. We're going to push down. I kept saying it with SoFi until I was blue in the face. I said, the whole thing doesn't make any sense unless they're going to launch it up really quickly. And I said it over and over. They're going to leave the slow shorts behind. They're not in on the plan. In fact, they're required for the plan to work because they let them keep the price low and accumulate without spending any money to keep it low. They're letting some schmuck in a hedge fund who wants to short this thing from 30 keep the price down for them. And when they flip it and go long, it moves fast. They took SoFi, from the 7s to 16 in the blink of an eye. It happens like that, and it has to happen fast because they don't want to give retail and hedge funds and shorts time to react. They just run it up. These are the masters of the universe, and you can't control when they do it. This is an obvious pump and dump. Long term, they accumulated here. They accumulated here. They got returners to buy in up here, up here. They shook them all. I don't know why this thing's freaking out. They shook them all out here, falls off again. And it's fake. Some of it is real volatility. Some of it is fake volatility. And you can see it in the orders. You can see it in the dailies. You can tell what's panic versus fake panic. And you can tell a lot of that by the shorting and borrowing because retail investors honestly don't short stocks. Very often they make up a tiny, tiny bit of shorting. And I don't mean, buying a put. I mean, traditional short selling, borrowing a stock and selling short. While you're functionally shorting with a put, it's not the same thing. You're not actually borrowing. Somebody else might be borrowing on the back end of your trade, whatever. But again, that's all kind of beyond, my level of understanding. And when you talk about, I understand it a little bit, but there's always so many layers to it. And, so many people understand it so much better than I do. So they're shorting, Ortex is saying 17% of the free float, and shares on loan are actually, almost 40 million above the short interest. And when you take a look, the cost to borrow max today actually went over 7. Yesterday, I think it went up to 5. Before, this has always been less than 1. So I'm telling you, this can't go. This is what I kept saying with SoFi. And I know I sound like a broken record. I said, this can't go on forever. They cannot keep holding it here and driving it from 720 to 680. It's going to explode. I thought it was going to go to about 13. Because I thought they'd only let it run 70% and slam the brakes. But actually went much higher. Stock actually doubled right quick. More than doubled. But this stock, like this guy's saying, this could 3 or 4x very, very easily this year. I mean, it's free money. These orders aren't going. The orders are already there. Yes, they do have too much inventory. But no, they're not crippled by debt at all. And yes, there may be some dilution. But when a stock's undervalued by 3x, you don't worry about 20% dilution when you're growing at this rate. That's why they need the money. They have plenty of cash, and they don't have that much debt. Their debt is like 10% of this year's sales, and they have a couple of billion in cash. They're bringing a new factory online in Malaysia, for God's sake. Mugatu tried to kill the prime minister of Malaysia. I invented the piano key necktie. Love me some Mugatu. Lose 5 pounds immediately. Or in my case, 50. But anyway, guys, I don't really know what I'm talking about. So more recently, they haven't actually been delisted. So extension, when all is said and done, it seems like the stock struck bottom. So 3 reasons to buy. There are numerous catalysts going into 2025 that should help take SMCI back to 100. I explained below the main 3. The worst is almost over. With everything that happened last year, it's difficult to blame investors for rushing to get out of SMCI. However, the selling and negative sentiment in SMCI has likely peaked, and the good news should easily outpace the bad going forward. So far, it seems like BDO hasn't found any issue with SMCI's accounting. We have absolutely no idea if that's true or not. That's just complete speculation. I don't see how this guy would know what BDO has found. An independent review showed no misconduct, but the company will be replaced. The independent review did not show no misconduct. That this guy's facts are just dog shit. The independent review did show some misconduct, but it showed that they did not need to restate their financials and that there was like no fraud. But there were some mistakes, which I think you could easily refer to as misconduct. So this guy is playing a little bit fast and loose with the facts, in my opinion, but still a good article. I mean, because I agree with him. So, but the company will be replacing its CFO, which is no doubt a great step toward regaining investor confidence. In short, SMCI will soon have all the pieces in place to kick off 2025 with a clean slate, restated financials, new CFO, and possibly new partnership with Evercore to raise capital. So again, the Evercore deal is also completely speculative, and everybody who thinks that's a negative, I really don't think they're looking at the growth and the expansion and the new factory and the fact that these things require capital. And you have to raise it somehow. It's dilution, it's debt. If you take on debt, people, crow about 5% interest rates and, become huge Karens about the interest rates and the payments and how they can't afford it. And then if you do dilute, you have to do one or the other. Chuckie's not going to finance it with his winery that he bought with the money he was supposed to be using his tree foundation to plant trees. Bought a winery. So what? Guys give a fuck about trees. They said, hey, didn't you have a foundation that was supposed to plant trees and you bought a winery? They go, yeah, and fuck you. Because I'm rich, you're poor. Fuck you guys. You can quote me on it. I think. That's maybe not a direct quote. I was paraphrasing. But my uncle Chuckie and my Aunt Sara can be a little plucky. They called him Plucky Chuckie when we were back together at university in, I believe it was Seoul or Harvard or Cambridge or somewhere. But no, he was a great mentor of mine. I was doing my PhD thesis on cheeseburgers. I don't have a PhD, folks, if you couldn't have guessed that. Well, we saw the AI rally. So here's the next reason, renewed AI. And this is basically, you could just say there's going to be massive demand for what they do. And they have pretty healthy margins for this industry. So massive demand, increase on the top line, good margins. EPS is increasing. Only in, La La Land, where bears make stuff up, could going from $2 EPS to $3.60 EPS in 2 years be a discount. So you're increasing EPS by, what is that, 80% in 2 years? And they say that's bad. I guess it's slowing somewhat. I mean, you're not going to grow at 100% every year. They went from 3 to 5 to 7 to 14. The law of large numbers or whatever, you're not going to grow at the same rate when you're a $25 billion company that you did when you're a $3 billion or $7 billion company. It's just very, very difficult to sustain that level of growth, the percentage of growth. Now, in nominal terms, they're growing, 25 to 30 billion in sales is very nice growth, but I think it'll be significantly higher than that. I think these analysts are underestimating the depth of their relationship with NVIDIA, the types of unique solutions they can offer to AMD. I mean, there's going to be new data centers coming online announced all the time. And SMCI is going to make a compelling value proposition to those, buyers that says we can do a better job for less money. We give you a better product for less money. And that is a compelling sales pitch. They don't go, well, what about your auditor? They go, hey, we've been doing this for a couple decades now. Let our accountant, our lawyers worry about our accounting and our lawyers, and we're going to install these racks for you chumps. ¿Entiendes, pendejo? You sack of shit, you cheese box. You know what you are, Frank? You're a hustler. You're a pig who don't fly straight. Tony, your accent is terrible. I can't tell if you're Cuban or German, Latin, Dutch. I have no idea what you're doing. And the bronzer that's supposed to be your tan, Tony. It's terrible. This whole thing, this whole movie is farcical. I don't understand how it became such a classic, Tony. I don't think that's the line, Frank. Check with Manolo. Tony, you sound like you're chewing on marbles. This accent is no bueno. I know. But my check is clear. I don't care. Anyway, so enough of my horrible. I don't even know. I have no idea, guys. I just have no idea. I have to apologize. Apologize to the children first and foremost. Mini Joy's Kids TV. Yes, how long to hold this? Just see where it goes, Mini Joy. I have an indefinite hold on this stock. Unless there's some problems I'm not seeing, I think they could grow easily into a $100 billion company in the not too distant future, perhaps by the end of the decade. I think the demand and the growth of AI data centers, I don't even think we understand where it's going to go yet. I think more things are going to be recording more things, and AI is going to be analyzing that data, that footage, that audio, that, car, whatever it is, those airplanes. I mean, there's going to come a time, guys, it's not just cars that are going to be driving themselves and semi-trucks. It's going to be, airplanes are going to be flying themselves. Ports are going to be running themselves, cranes, dump trucks. Everything is going to be running itself. I mean, I was looking how much money Chick-fil-A saved by getting lemon squeezing robots. I mean, if all of these things come to pass, you're talking about Li Auto, Tesla, these humanoid robots. I mean, think about what types of demand for data centers, for AI data centers, these humanoid robots will place on the system. And what's extremely problematic about these data centers is the energy consumption. I mean, Uncle Chuckie talked about that at that, stupid Reuters deal. If you have 20 minutes to burn, really watch it. I mean, the guy has an accent and he's fucking smart as hell. He understands this at a depth that, I could never even dream of. So anyway, in short, SMCI will have a clean slate, blah, 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 renewed AI enthusiasm. We all saw Aero really cool off. Some points last year. It's quite clear the AI market is still thriving. Investors have a big appetite for these kinds of stocks. Look at companies out Broadcom rallies following earnings. AI narrative more recently. Foxconn Technologies reached record revenues thanks to demand for AI servers. And Monday at 6, SMCI rallied over 10%. Advanced Micro Devices, AMD Corporation unveiled new products and offering CES trade show in Los Angeles. The AI products still clearly there, and more is funding coming into the industry. Just a few weeks ago, SoftBank announced it would be investing over $100 billion in U.S. AI infrastructure. I'm almost out of water. I gotta end this piece of crap. It's quite likely that NVIDIA and SMCI will be great beneficiaries of this investment. So SoftBank will be announced spending $100 billion just by itself. I mean, these numbers are just mind-boggling. SoftBank's not even that big. It's going to be spending $100 billion on U.S. AI infrastructure. Last and certainly not least, we have a pretty ideal technical set. And this is critical, guys. If you are, believe in like Elliott wave theory, you believe in these retracements, you believe in these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. If you believe in this stuff, we have a perfect setup for you. And I'm going to put it on 3 easy payments. Easy payments. Big dummy. I can't stand these installment products. It's just like payday loans. If you can't afford a moderately priced consumer product that's like $30, $40 on the QVC, don't buy it. Hey, I need 6 easy payments. Each payment's only $10. I'd have to pay me the $60 all at once. Such an asshole. Since reaching the bottom back in November, I would argue that SMCI staged a convincing 5-wave impulse. And you can go over all this. I'm not no expert in these Elliott wave theory stuff. So we have retracement towards the 60. I do understand retracement of 61% level where we found support. This is a key structure, which according to Elliott wave theory could signal the beginning of a reversal, an impulse wave pattern indication. And you could, if you understand what this means, wave 3 is not the shortest wave. Wave 2 does not retrace over 100% over wave 1. Wave 4 does not overlap wave 1. And you see this kind of setting up perfectly for what these jabronis that believe in this stuff are talking about. This initial indication the stock could have bottomed. We still need more evidence, considering this 5-wave move should be itself part of a larger 5-wave move to the upside. However, to have true confirmation that we are in an uptrend, we need to see a completion of larger wave 2 shown above, which may or may not have completed yet. It's a little bit shaky, saying the real confirmation that the bottom's in would come once wave 2 is complete and the price rallies back above the wave 1 high we just set at $50. So what he's saying basically is if this goes over 50, it's probably going to go up over 100. And I think there's a huge sort of philosophical, moral sort of fundamental gap there that this, the run up over 100 was, I think, completely appropriate for a company that's going to be doing 20 trading. This thing trading at like 3 or 4x sales is a no-brainer. It should be trading a lot higher than that if these growth rates are actually realized and confirmed. Before that, the stock could revisit lower levels or even try to hit 25. This could have already bottomed with the MACD seems ready to turn bullish. In other words, we have completed 1 and 2 in the setup, which one of the best places to enter a long position Elliott wave. We could have further evidence of the bottom is in on the weekly chart with the weekly MACD also flipping bullish on the price, retesting but respecting the 200-day moving average. So the path to 100 and beyond, 100 seems like a very reasonable target based on both technicals and fundamentals. If we measure the first wave impulse we just completed, which is in turn part of larger wave 1, and guys, you can read this for yourself, but basically he's saying that should be trading near 115 on the next big move up. So that's going to take it back near all-time highs, and ultimately it should make new highs, which will take us well above $120. And the fundamentals agree. This is why they make everything up. Like EPS is falling, where EPS is rising, quite rapidly. So fundamentally speaking, once investors can begin to focus on the future again, the stock could easily triple based on PEG and forward PEG ratios. An equilibrium PEG of 1 would imply SMCI appreciating 300% from today, even if the restatements reduce earnings somewhat. This is critical because this is the great fear, but it's a complete made-up fugazi. Even if the restatements reduce earnings somewhat, SMCI would have to at least triple to be near a reasonable valuation. Let me read that to you again. And this guy is credible because he's on the interweb. And he's got a lot of facts wrong, but he agrees with me, so I'm going to say he's credible. Even if the restatements reduce earnings somewhat, SMCI would have to at least triple to be near a reasonable valuation. They're selling you a pack of lies. These guys are buying all the stock. They're buying it all in the low 30s because they know it's worth 120. They're bending you over a barrel and giving you the guided tour of the 50 states. They want retail to sell the dip and smell the rip. They don't want you there for the rip. They didn't want you there for the SoFi rip. Why do you think these stops rip when institutions come in? Because they're controlling the price. It's not a coincidence. Barron's keeps writing this article like, oh, SMCI, it appears the volatility is back. Oh, it appears the volatility is gone. So they know better. It's not volatility. Market makers are fixing the price. They do it right at the beginning of the day, and then they trade it sideways with an algorithm the rest of the day. And Barron's pretends not to understand what's going on. I mean, come on. Come on. And let's go over the risks, of course. Of course, SMCI is still one of the most risky investments, the 10K, and there's no doubting this, guys. The delay in financial statements, the resignation of their auditor, it's extremely problematic and implies a great deal of risk and unknown. And there's just no way around that. Nothing that has this high a risk, a reward. I'm saying, oh, it's an easy 3X. It's an easy 3X if everything goes right. If everything goes wrong, it's a big, dookie load in your shorts, and you're basically going to be standing in a bread line. So I'm not trying to say there's not a lot of risk here. This isn't a layup. It's if management tells the truth, gets their accounting in order, all the numbers are true, the growth is there, like I expect, this thing is dramatically undervalued. If management's a bunch of crooks and the whole thing's a fraud, it could crash and burn, you know. I don't think that's the case. I don't think there's any evidence of that. I don't think that's what the whistleblower was suggesting. Not even Hindenburg suggested that. The big thing are these export violations and maybe some restatements that involve, you know, recording revenues early, not making up revenues, mind you, not making up orders or revenues, but recording them at the wrong time. That's the allegation. Hints, allegations, and things left unsaid. Look to the gin blossoms. Look to the new miserable experience. Owning this stock has been a bit of a new miserable experience. Well, tomorrow you can ride around the town and let the cops chase you around because the markets are going to be closed in honor of observance of Jimmy Carter, late President Carter. They're going to do a observance, so I guess all the markets will be closed tomorrow, and then they'll reopen again on Friday. So the 10K is yet to be filed. BDO could still find issues with the company despite a good year. Damage the company's reputation could also worsen its outlook for 2025. JP Morgan said that's not happening, but we'll have to wait and see. All in all, I think the price offers a compelling risk-reward entry. That's exactly, I completely agree with that. I see evidence of a bottom in the technicals, but also in sentiment, which I think has reached a bottom. Nobody's selling this thing under 30. They keep wanting to tell you, oh, it's going to crash back to 15, 17, but all the same while they're all buying between 32 and 34, hand over fist. All the same people that are telling you this is a garbage stock, the same people that are, they're all buying. If this was all dumps, the stock would just be crashing down below all-time lows. It's not doing that. The algo is holding it here. The algo is holding it here. It won't go lower. It doesn't want to go lower. Saying it could retrace to 25, big deal. If it's going back to 120, who cares? Paper law, people who care about paper losses are fear-based people. They're losers. I don't care. I'm sorry. You're the kind of person these volatile growth stocks go down 20%. You have a stop loss or you panic sell. This ain't for you. Go over to Strongman's channel. Buy an index fund. Buy the QQQ. Whatever. But don't do this. This is not for the faint of heart. This is not for emotional people. This is not for people to go, oh my God. Yeah, they're going to drive it down. This is psychological warfare. Don't you understand that? This entire thing is psychological warfare. Market makers create these narratives, these false narratives, these stories, these emotional roller coasters where they're finally like, oh, I'm just exhausted with the price action. I've had enough. I'm just going to sell. I'm just going to put a stop loss in at $29.99. Market makers are like, got another fish. Got another fish. You keep buying high and selling low, and at the end of the year, you're wondering why you didn't make any money. Because you're an asshole. I don't know. Just stop doing it. Stop buying short-dated calls. Stop setting these idiotic stop losses. I don't know, guys. I don't know basically where I was going with any of this, but get you another check of the live short interest. Yeah, same thing, just absolutely flat. Somebody's, lending shares are basically nothing, but share availability never really tightens up that much. Just keep making more shares available at this, cost to borrow near zero. Anyway, I don't know what to make of it, folks. But if you look at the revenue estimate, 2 billion, 3 billion, 3.6 is 50% growth quarter on quarter. 15 billion current year. Next year, 25 billion. I mean, what is that? 70% growth, something like that. I've never seen anything like this where that type of growth Profitable growth, highly profitable growth. And they try to tell you profits are shrinking, EPS is shrinking. How? Current year 278, next year 370. It's what, like almost 40%, not 40, I don't know. What is that? 30% increase? 28%, but I think that estimate is quite low. So we'll just have to wait and see. Yeah, NEO got beat up today. SoFi got beat up a little bit, but came back pretty strong. Tesla held on. New recovering just a little bit. CRISPR in the shitter. Bank stocks doing pretty well, as looks like interest rates may not be this MFA company talked about yesterday down a dime. Who was talking about that? Anyway, guys, markets close tomorrow, so hope you guys enjoy a day off from your troubles. Take a vacation from your problems, guys. Just baby step it into the office. Try not to dive out the window because your SMCI stock is just holding this pattern. Nothing to worry about, guys. Nothing to see here. But let's see. What's up, Payush? What's up, Billy Jack? Forever Forgiven. Ended up just going with the Fidelity. Markets go up, markets go down. Absolutely. Sounds about right. Hey, guys, I hope everybody's doing well. Billy Jack, I got to get out of here. But hope everybody has a really good night. Enjoy the day off tomorrow, at least from the markets. I know, of course, we have to work anyway. But yeah, rest in peace, President Carter. Hope you guys have a great night. And I really, really appreciate you watching. It's just been the honor of my life that all you turds could join me on this absolutely stupid internet show. Thank you. Thank you so much. Would like to send a huge thank you and I love you to the greatest person in the world, Princess J. I would also like to send a big thank you to our great moderators, the great Not a Lurker, and also the great Alberto. Thank you guys very much. Appreciate it. To all the rest of you, hope you have a great night. Peace. I'm out.